Hello everyone, this is Jennifer. In this video we're going to look into Reserve Bank of India. So, introduction and objectives. Reserve Bank of India was established in the year 1935 under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934 with the objective as stated in the preamble of RBI Act to regulate the issue of bank notes and for keeping reserves with a view to securing monetary stability in India and generally to operate the currency and credit system of the country to its advantage. Basically, Reserve Bank of India came into existence in order to regulate the issue of bank notes, the currency notes, and for keeping reserves which can be used for the future of the country in order to maintain the monetary stabilization in the country. Okay, till 1949 it was a private shareholders institution but became a state owned institution after its nationalization. The bank, besides action as a regulation of financial system, also performs developmental role. It is said to be the banker to the banks and controller of activities of banking, non-banking and financial institution in the country. So it takes and controls the activities of the other banks also in the country. So it is said to be the banker of the bank and also the control of activities of the banking, non-banking and the financial institution in the country. So what are the main functions of RBI? So the main functions of RBI, the first one is the currency authority. So the Reserve Bank of India is the only sole authority for the issue of currency in the country other than 1 rupee coins and notes and subsidiary coins. So the magnitude of which is relatively small. 1 rupee coins and notes are basically issued by the government of India. So the process of notes issue, how do basically they issue the notes? The issue of currency into circulation and it's withdrawn from circulation takes place through the banking department of the bank. The banking department acts as an intermediary between the Reserve Bank of India and other banks while depositing and withdrawing the currencies. So the second main function is banker to the government. So the Reserve Bank of India is banker to the central government as well as to the state government. It makes receipts and payments on behalf of the government and performs other banking functions also. So before the RBI came into existence, who handled this government transactions were the Imperial Bank of India. So now the RBI takes into consideration, so the bank has the obligation to transact the banking business of the central government, who in turn are obliged to entrust the conduct of the business through the RBI itself. The bank accordingly undertakes to accept money and to withdraw money or to transact money on behalf of the bank. So the third one, advisor to the government. So like all the central banks, the RBI also acts as an advisor to the government on not only on banking and financial matters but also on a wide range of economic issues, including those in the field of planning and resource mobilization. How basically the finance needs to be planned out and how it needs to be dispersed in the view of investment, and is it a profitable investment or not. All this also can be advised by the Reserve Bank of India to the government. So the bank's advice is sought on certain aspects and formulations of the country's fire plans also, such as financing pattern, mobilization of resources and institutional arrangements with regard to banking and credit matters. So the fourth one is Bankers Bank. So the Reserve Bank of India is statutory banker to the government of India. It is also banker to the state government as per agreement signed with them. In this capacity, it holds, what does it basically does when it acts as a banker to the bank? It basically holds the cash reserves, lends them funds for short term, and also provides economic and expeditious central clearing and remittance facilities to the banks. The next one is lender of the last resort. Lender of the last resort. So it is lender of the last resort for the scheduled commercial banks in India. So it provides credit to these banks through discounting facilities. So when everything fails out, the last thing that they can assure is the Reserve Bank of India. Then is the supervision of banks. So the Reserve Bank's responsibility includes, in addition to the traditional banking function, the development of adequate and sound banking system for catering to the needs of trade, commerce, industry and agricultural activities. So the act empowers the bank to regulate through licensing of banks, branch expansion, management of reserves, construction, liquidation, etc. So the banks send their periodic reports to the Reserve Bank of India. It does the supervision of the various banks in the country. The next one, controller of money supply and credit. So one of the important function of the Reserve Bank of India is to control the money supply and the credit in the economy. So this becomes all the important as India is following the managed paper currency system. Okay, so the RBI has a control money supply and credit in such a way to ensure the reasonable achievements of all the objectives of the credit control, like what? Price stability, full employment, economic growth, equilibrium in the balance of payment, etc. The next one, foreign exchange control and management. The Reserve Bank of India is also the custodian of the country's foreign exchange reserve. When does a foreign exchange happens? When two countries get into business transaction, and the payment happens in two different currencies. So at that time, who takes into controlling the foreign exchanges and management? It is the Reserve Bank of India. So it acts as an agent of Government of India in connection with the membership of the International Monetary Funds. The next one, monetary data and publication. The Reserve Bank of India is a main source of monetary data and also the data relating to the banking. Obviously, the data very important for framing the economic policies and banking policies. So the bank collects and publishes the data regularly through weekly statement, monthly bulletins, annual reports on currencies and finance, reports on trends and progress of banking in India. The next one, promotion functions. So these are the various promotion functions of RBI. The first one is promotion of commercial banking. So under the powers vested in it under the RBI Act of 1934 and the Banking Regulation Act 1949, it has taken a number of steps from time to time for the growth of commercial banks and putting the Indian banking system on sound footing. These acts include regulation of banks, setting up of deposit insurance corporation, amalgamation, consolidation of banks, etc. The next one is promotion of cooperative banking. So in India, rural based economy cooperative banks have an important role to play in the rural side. So the credit for expansion of cooperative banking goes to the RBI. So they directly or indirectly provide funds for the improvement of the cooperative banks. The third one is promotion of agricultural banking and rural credit. So basically it's the Reserve Bank of India. It is recognized to have a special responsibility for providing credit. Credit means what? Giving loan kind to the agriculture and allied activities. So establishing regional rural banks and inclusion of agriculture is a priority sector and it acts as a major step. Another development in this direction was the establishing of the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, which is NABARD, which was established in the year 1982, which took over the Agricultural Refinance and Development Corporation. The next one is promotion of industrial finance. So the commercial banks can take care of the working capital requirements of the industrial units. However, industrial growth cannot take place in the absence of medium of long-term finance. Moreover, small-scale industries need special attention. So setting up of Industrial Development Bank of India, IFCI, SFC, SSIDI are the notable steps which was taken by the RBI. So the RBI is the main force behind these institutions. Setting up of SIDBI is also an important step in the promotion of finance for exports. In order to encourage export, Reserve Bank of India has been playing its role through refinance to banks against export credit under various schemes, like what duty drawback credit scheme, bill market scheme, etc. So the monetary policies. So what do you mean by monetary policy? So according to Professor Harry Johnson, a policy employing the central bank's control of the supply of money as an instrument for achieving the objectives of general economic policy is the monetary policy. So it basically helps in control of money in the economy. So what are we talking about? The quantity of money that is available in the economy, because that tells what is the development of the economy. So the Reserve Bank of India issues a monetary policy in order to increase or decrease the supply of money in the economy. So what are the objectives of monetary policy? First one is to accelerate the process of economic growth with a view to raise national income. So basically controlling the quantity of the inflow or increase or decrease in the supply of money. It helps in processing the economic growth in the country, which ultimately lead us for national income, increase in the national income. The second main objective is to control and reduce the inflationary pressures on in the economy. So basically increase in the rise of the prices. So such thing can be controlled and reduced in the economy through the monetary policies. So the objective of monetary policies in underdeveloped countries are economic growth. So basically growing up in the economy with a view of raising the national income and per capita income of the economy. Second one, economic stability, having a stable move or growth in the financial systems in the economy. The next one is stability in exchange rate. So the foreign exchange rate needs to be stabilized, need not be inflationary or deflationary. Next one is equilibrium and full employment. Why basically we need monetary policy? To have an equilibrium position in the economy and full employment, providing employment to everyone, and balanced regional development. So when all these are achieved, ultimately there is a balanced regional development in the economy, and reducing differences in have-nots and haves. So basically having a stabilized move in the economy financially and economically. The next one is increasing employment opportunities. The next is containing inflation, basically reducing inflation, which ultimately will reduce poverty in the economy. So moving on to the next topic. Which is credit control measures used by the RBI. So basically the measures taken by the RBI in order to control the credit in the economy or in the country. Basically two concepts. One is a quantitative credit control, the other one is a qualitative credit control. So the main objective of quantitative credit control is have a control over the quantity of credit, how much of money is moving in the market, or in the economy. For quantitative credit control, the Reserve Bank of India employs bank rate, cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio, and open market operations. So, whereas rationing of credit morale, suasion, variation in margin requirement, publicity, etc., are used as qualitative credit control methods. So, we look into each concept separate by separate. So, techniques used by RBI for credit control. Under that, you have the quantitative credit control techniques in order to control how much of money is moving as a credit in the market. So, the first one is bank rate. That is the first measure under quantitative credit control system. So, what do you mean by bank rate? So, bank rate is basically the standard rate at which the bank is prepared to buy or rediscount bills of exchange or other commercial papers eligible for purchase. So basically the concept of bank rate, very important of quantitative credit control system. So for controlling the credit, inflation and money supply, RBI will increase the bank rate. So if the bank rate is increased, the commercial banks will have to pay a higher rate of interest for their borrowings from RBI. So in turn, commercial banks will charge higher interest rate when they grant loan to their customers. So the customers also needs to pay a higher rate. So thus the borrowers will be discouraged to borrow because it's a higher rate of interest. So the trading and business activity will be reduced ultimately. So the reduced money supply and price level in turn is brought down. So an increase in the bank rate basically means that the central government is following a tight monetary policies, as increase in rate will lead to decrease in money supply. So thereby it will lead to decrease in inflation and reduction in the investment and vice versa. So moving on to the next point, which is repo and reverse repo rate. So what do you mean by repo rate? It is a rate at which RBI lends money to the banks. So if they face scarcity of funds, so it is basically used to control inflation and deficiency of funds. So when there's high pricing and there's no funds in the economy, so that time the RBI lends money to the various banks. What is reverse repo rate? So it is the rate at which RBI borrows money from the bank. So in this case it's just a reverse, so wherein the RBI borrows money from various banks. So it is basically used to manage the cash flows. So next one is variable reverse ratio. So it refers to the proportion of banks deposit that the commercial banks are required to keep in the form of cash to ensure liquidity for the credit created by them. So keeping your reserves in the RBI by the banks, that is nothing but variable reserve ratios. So when the variable reserve ratio increases, it will ultimately lead to decrease in the value of deposit multiplier, and when the variable reserve ratio decreases, it will lead to increase in the value of deposit multiplier. So under variable reserve ratios, there are basically two ratios which we consider. One is a cash reserve ratio, the other one is a statutory reserve ratio. So cash reserve ratio, it is a specified minimum fraction of the total deposit of customers which the commercial banks have to hold as reserves either in cash or deposit in the RBI. So all commercial banks are required to maintain a minimum percentage of its deposits with the RBI. So whereas the statutory liquidity ratio means under the Banking Company Regulation Act, banks are required to maintain liquid assets equal to 20% of their total demands and liabilities. So it can include cash, gold reserves, PSUs, bonds and other Reserve Bank approved securities before providing credit to the customers. So moving on to the next quantitative credit control techniques, which is the open market operations. So open market operation, it basically refers to the purchase and sale by the central government bank of a variety of assets such as foreign exchange, gold, government securities, and even company share, basically selling it in the open market, which can help them in achieving increased credit creation by the commercial banks. Next, we have the liquidity adjustment facility. So it allows banks to borrow money through repurchase agreements, or banks will lend to the RBI through the reverse repo contract. So basically, giving loan to the RBI through the reverse repo contracts or the agreements. So next, we are moving on to selective and direct credit control measures. So these are nothing but the qualitative credit control measures. So it is a regulation of credit for specific purposes or branches of economic activity is termed as selective or qualitative credit control. So only for a selective purpose or only for a selective branch. So under that we have four methods. One is the direction. So since 1956, the RBI has issued many directions to the banks. Of them, few examples are, so one point is the RBI issued its first directive on 17th May 1956 with a view to restrict advances against paddy and rice. Later it was extended to food grains, pulses, oil seeds, vegetable, etc. So the next directive was that the RBI fixed higher minimum lending rates for which the loans were given to selective credit controls. So the next credit control measure is a rationing. So it basically regulating the purpose for which the loans are given among the various members. So priority sections should be given preference in the lending loans. For others, minimum attention only will be given. It helps in optimum utilization of money. The third one is the margin requirements. So the term margin basically denotes that the part of the loan amount which cannot be borrowed from bank. Hence, this portion of finance will be compulsorily brought by the borrower from his own source itself. So there's a margin beyond which the people cannot borrow it. So the next one is moral suasion. So it is like the direct regulation. So RBI will be sending letters, holding regular meetings and discussions with commercial banks in order to highlight the need for mutual cooperation to implement the monetary policy. So thank you everyone.